For far too long, Washington has failed to confront our energy crisis. We've been talking about high prices at the pump and our dependence on foreign oil since the gas lines of the 1970s. We've been talking about our environmental problems for even longer. And yet here we are, all these decades later, and the only thing that's changed is we're even more dependent on foreign oil. Our planet is in even greater peril, and the price of gas is shooting up and up and up. A big part of the problem has been that we've had corporate lobbyists writing our energy laws. When Dick Cheney was charged with coming up with our energy policy, he met with the environmental groups once, he met with the renewable energy groups once, he met with the oil and gas companies 40 times. And this is just one example of how lobbyists have been skewing America's agenda to serve the interests of Wall Street, no matter what the costs on Main Street. That's why I've fought throughout my career to rein in the power of lobbyists, and that's why I'm not taking a dime from Washington lobbyists on this campaign. But another part of the problem is that we've had politics that are just too small to meet the scope of the challenges that we face when it comes to energy. Just to take one example, we've had a debate over the gas tax holiday that John McCain has proposed. This idea, as I said all last week, will save Americans at best a quarter and a nickel a day for 3 months, all in all less than $30. It's not even enough to fill up a tank of gas. This is a classic Washington stunt that's more about getting John McCain through an election than getting hard-working families through the summer. It will put billions of dollars into the pockets of the oil companies. It's bad for our environment, and rather than bring down the price of gas over the long term, most economists think that it will actually drive those prices up at the same time as it may take away from money we need to rebuild and renew America's infrastructure. Now, I respect John McCain's honorable service to this country, but what the American people need aren't stunts. What they need are real solutions. And I hope that's what John McCain offers when he comes to Oregon on Monday to talk about energy. But let's take a look at the track record. The fact is that when he had a chance to provide real relief for struggling families by taxing the windfall profits of oil companies, he opposed it, just like he opposed making price gouging by oil companies a federal crime, just like he's opposed real solutions to our dependence on oil time and time again. He voted repeatedly against mandates to ensure that we use more renewable energy, and the renewable portfolio standard continues to be blocked in part because people like John McCain aren't interested in it. He has rejected measures to spark investment in clean energy. He's voted against raising fuel efficiency standards on cars and trucks. And that's why the American people have a clear choice in November when I'm the nominee, because I believe we need to make the real investments in clean energy that will solve this crisis once and for all. That's why I reached across the aisle to come up with a plan to double our fuel efficiency standards that won the support of lawmakers who had never supported raising those standards before. That's why, unlike John McCain, I fought to pass bipartisan energy reform a few years ago. The bill was far from perfect and included tax giveaways to oil companies that I fought to eliminate. But I supported it because it was the largest investment in renewable energy in history. That's why in my proposals I've called for a replication of what's being done right here in Oregon, a 25% renewable portfolio standard for the entire nation. That's why I have consistently urged that we go ahead and pass the 30% investment tax credit that is so important to making sure that companies like PV Powered continue to prosper and thrive, something that this administration has shown leadership in trying to pass, even if it's just an extension. I think that we should actually have an expansion. If we are serious about solving this crisis, we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We'll have to forge long-term bipartisan solutions, and that's what I intend to do as president. I'll invest $150 billion over 10 years in establishing a green energy sector that will create up to 5 million new green jobs, and those are jobs that pay well and can't be outsourced. We'll invest in clean energy like solar and help ensure that companies like PV Powered have the support that they need. And we'll set a national standard to make sure that the fuels that we're using are more efficient, because that's how we're going to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. That's how we are going to reduce global warming, and that's how we are going to get gas prices ultimately under control. It's time that we had an energy policy that wasn't written by and for the big oil companies, but by and for the American people. It's time to stop seeing our energy crisis as a problem we have to endure and start seeing it as a challenge we can meet and an opportunity that we should seize. And that's the kind of leadership I intend to provide when I'm President of the United States of America.